স্টার্ট হয়ে গেছে।
Señor, uy, hombre, geliyor. Dubai Türkçe Rüyacağım bu daire Dubai zamanı mı? Şey var orada. Çalışıyor. Hı?
to the inaugural event of Darkathon 2022. Darkathon 2022, an idea originally conceived by our Honorable PM Sri Narendra Modi ji, is turning into a reality today. Darkathon 2022 is a hackathon event being organized by Narcotics Control Bureau for finding solutions to unearth drug syndicates and traffickers operating over darknet networks across the globe. We feel privileged to have our chief guest, Sri S.N. Pradhan, Director General NCB, Sri Anil Sahasrabuddhe, AICT, Chairperson AICTE, Lieutenant General Dr. Rajesh Pant, National Cyber Security Coordinator, Government of India, and Major Vineet Kumar, Founder Global President, Cyber Peace Foundation, gracing this event with their esteemed presence. We also have Shri Ashok Mutha Jain, Deputy Director General, Southwestern Region, NCB, joining us virtually from Mumbai. We have Shri Sanjay Kumar Singh, Deputy Director General, Ops, NCB, Mrs. Monica A. Batra, Deputy Director General, Eastern Region, Shri Sachin Jain, Deputy Director General, Headquarters, and Shri Gyaneshwar Singh, Deputy Director General, Northern Region, NCB, here with us today. I take this opportunity on behalf of NCB to welcome all the esteemed guests joining us today here in the event and also those who are joining us virtually. I also welcome my seniors, fellow colleagues, officials of CPF, and all our esteemed guests. I welcome you all to the Darkathon 2022. Now I request Shri Sanjay Kumar Singh, DDG Ops NCB, for the welcome address and introduction to Darkathon 2022. Respected DDG, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Honorable Director General of NCB, Sri Satyanarayan Pradhan, respected Professor Anil Sahasrabuddhe, Chairman, All India Council for Technical Education, respected Lieutenant General Retired Dr. Rajesh Pant, National Cyber Security Coordinator, Mr. Vineet Kumar of Cyber Peace Foundation, friends from media, and all the invited guests attending here and online across the country. I welcome each one of you who have accepted our invitation and have graced this function with your presence. Even though he needs no introduction, we are honored by the presence of our chief guest, Sri Satyanarayan Pradhan, Director General of NCB, at this inaugural event of Darkathon 2022. Sri S.N. Pradhan is a 1988 batch officer of Jharkhand cadre and has been serving as Director General of NCB since July 2021. Sir has vast experience in the field of internal security, law and order, training of IPS officers, disaster management, and drug enforcement. He's a highly decorated police officer with several awards such as Police Medal for Meritorious Services in 2006, President Police Medal for Distinguished Services in 2012, Disaster Response Medal in 2019, Ati Utkrisht Seva Padak in 2020. I welcome our chief guest, Sri S.N. Pradhan, DG NCB, to this inaugural event of Darkathon 2022. I warmly welcome Professor Anil Dattatreya Sahasrabuddhe, Chairman of All India Council of Technical Education, to this function. He joined AICTE as Chairman on 17th July 2015. Professor Anil Sahasrabuddhe has been bestowed with several awards, including Maha Entrepreneur Award 2011, Jeevan Gaurav Puraskar Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019, Mahatma Gandhi Leadership Award in 2019. He has also been conferred Ravi J. Mathai National Fellowship Award by AIMS in 2021. I'm thankful to Professor Shastra for taking time out from his busy schedule to grace this occasion and welcome him to this function. I welcome Lieutenant General Retired Dr. Rajesh Pant, who is an internationally recognized cybersecurity expert and is presently National Cybersecurity Coordinator of the Government of India. He is a highly decorated Army officer who has been conferred with Param Vishist Seva Medal, PVSM, Ati Vishist Seva Medal, AVSM, and Visist Seva Medal, VSM. He is responsible for coordinating all activities across multiple sectors to ensure a secure and resilient cyberspace within our country. Our organizing partner for this hackathon is Cyber Peace Foundation, an NGO dealing with cybersecurity. CPF is involved in policy advocacy, research and training related to all aspects of cyber peace and cybersecurity. Today, we have in our midst Sri Vineet Kumar, founder and president of Cyber Peace Foundation. I welcome Sri Vineet Kumar to this inaugural event. Due to the constraints posed by COVID-19 pandemic, this event is being conducted in hybrid mode, and I welcome every invitee who has joined us both here at the venue and online for this event. Media has always been a strong partner of NCB in fighting against drug trafficking and abuse since the beginning. I welcome all our friends from the print, visual, and electronic media who have come here to help NCB to take this effort to the public and make this event a success. I would like to give a brief introduction to the hackathon that is being inaugurated today. The advancements in technology have even plethora of avenues to drug traffickers in adopting new modus operandi. The drug traffickers are increasingly relying on technology to run their operations. Some of the most glaring examples are the use of darknet to sell drugs, use of almost untraceable internet-based technology for drug-related communication, use of drones to transport drugs across the border, etc. One of the most profound changes in drug trafficking that we have witnessed over the last decade is the use of darknet markets to sell drugs. Darknet markets are safe haven for drug traffickers because of the anonymity that they provide to buyers as well as sellers. This is a problem being faced by drug law enforcement agencies across the globe. This problem has been duly recognized by our Honorable Prime Minister, who directed NCB way back in 2020 to find a viable solution by organizing a hackathon, by engaging students and the youth having technical acumen. Darknet is an area where all law enforcement agencies need to develop and update themselves. NCB has always endeavored to keep itself abreast with technological developments to stay ahead of the curve, and we recognize the need to unravel the anonymity of darknet. With this objective in mind, and in pursuance of the directions of Honorable Prime Minister, NCB is organizing this event, Darkathon 2022. With these words, I once again welcome all guests, media, and participants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was an insightful address. Now I request our chief guest, Shreyasan Pradhan, DG NCB, and all our esteemed guests gracing the dais to come forward and inaugurate the event by lighting the lamp. Thank you, our esteemed guests. I now request Honorable DG Sir to formally inaugurate Darkathon 2022 by pressing the key. DG Sir. Thank you, sir. Your constant motivation and never say die attitude is the key behind making this event a reality. Moving further, now may I request Shri Anil Sehasrabuddhe, Chairperson AICTE, to enlighten us further for the event and motivate the technical pool of our country to participate in the event and making it a success. Professor Sehasrabuddhe.
Very good morning to all of you. Namaskar. First of all, I would like to congratulate NCB for organizing this Darkathon 2022, which our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has been often talking about the last couple of years. Sri Satyanarayan Pradhan ji, Director General NCB, who has been a motivating force to organize this hackathon, supported by Lieutenant General Dr. Rajesh Pant, who has been again a source of strength from National Cyber Security, coordinator of that wing, Sri Sanjay Kumar Singh and Vineet Kumar ji, as well as all the officers of NCB, both who have joined physically here in this auditorium, as well as those who are there online from different regions of India. I'm again repeating, this is a very exciting moment for our country, despite the pandemic which we went through in the last 2 years. Although economy went down, we have never failed our country in terms of coming out with brilliant out-of-the-box solutions, raising the economy back to rails. That is one part. AICT was organizing hackathons for the last 5 years, and we were not deterred by the pandemic. We continued. Earlier hackathons were in the physical space. We used to have about 50 odd centers where students who were shortlisted, 10,000 of them traveling crisscross in the country, going to the center where the problem of that nature is going to be solved. We're traveling, physically solving them for 36 hours. But we had to change the model. And the model was now everything online. Jury will come online. The mentors will be online. Students will be online. We created everything as virtual rooms and then conducted the 2 hackathons during pandemic. I think the model which is used here for Darkathon is also of the similar nature. A Darkathon has great significance from the point of view of the security of the country. It is not just that we are trying to detect drug trafficking and trying to catch all those who are involved in this, but it has many other activities which are along with that, which happen is in terms of a lot of black money, funding of anti-national elements. The funding which comes for all these kind of things come from these dark nets. And that's why dark web, dark net, which is so anonymous, getting into it and finding out is a big challenge. And we have Cyber Peace Foundation, the very name, Cyber Peace. We have not said cyber war. So we want nation to be peaceful. We want our society to be happy. And if that has to happen, we have to find out the culprits and punish them. Otherwise, peace cannot prevail. And that is where NCB, which has been spearheading this entire movement of controlling drug trafficking. I'm sure there are a lot of challenges because of this dark net, dark web. Anonymity, getting in is not so easy. But we should remember, technology always has 2 sides, of the coin. One side is for helping the other side may create problems of this nature. But the same technology can be used for checking that, because any culprit will always leave some traces. And these are the small traces which can give clue to the detection of who is doing the drug trafficking, who is selling whom, and then get into that. And that is where our young generation students who study courses like computer programming, computer science, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, deep learning, these are all courses which they learn in their colleges, but they must always try to find out solutions to the challenges that we face, both as a country, as an individual, as a society. And this challenge of drug menace, which we have seen in some of the states of India, be it in Punjab or Himachal Pradesh, if we have to check this, because we don't want to spoil our next generation. We are now talking about new education policy, empowering every citizen of the country. And if they are all affected by the drugs, I think the whole family, the whole society is at a loss. And that's why this hackathon, which is being conducted as a special hackathon, has great significance. I compliment the NCB for taking this forward, and all the students who have joined here. It is not just solving a problem. You will become employable because you will use some technology in order to detect the culprits through the dark web and dark net. Employability, becoming an entrepreneur are all possibilities. But please remember, you are solving a problem of the nation. You are creating a new generation which is happy, and that contribution is going to be, bringing more laurels to you and more happiness to you in the process. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Your insights will definitely motivate the youth of our country to participate in the event with zeal and enthusiasm. Now, I humbly request Lieutenant General Retired Dr. Rajesh Pant, National Cybersecurity Coordinator, to kindly provide the words of wisdom on the subject matter and provide us insights on the technical know-hows of such an event and their relevance in today's not-so-real world. Sir.
DG NCB, Shri Pradhan, Chairman AICT, Professor Sahasrabuddhe, DDG Sanjay, Vineet, all those sitting in front of me, all those sitting in the cyberspace listening to this event, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. See, the World Economic Forum consistently has been saying that cyber crime is the biggest man-made risk to economic progress. And the rate at which our country's anticipated economic growth is planned, we just cannot afford any more headwinds to slow down our economic progress, especially in terms of cybercrime. Secondly, this aspect of drug menace is not only an issue of the Narcotics Control Bureau. After all, the money that is being generated by the sale of drugs and the revenues, where do you think it is going? It is going for all illegal purposes, including financing of terrorism. So it is an issue of national security, which is why people like us come into the game. And that is why I am here, despite the fact that today, in an organization where I spent 40 years, it is our 112th raising day of the Corps of Signals. But when DG Pradhan requested me yesterday, I said, no, this is it's a national requirement. And for me, it's always nation first. All of us are aware that the internet has a surface web, like an iceberg on top, which people say is about 7 to 10% of the total infrastructure. The balance 90% is the dark and deep web. And it is not only drugs, all the wrong things that you can imagine, because all of us have been surfing this dark and deep web, whether it is credit and debit card, whether it is weapon, whether it is porn, whether it is all the illegal things, sale of data, which is very important today. All that is happening in the dark and deep web. I firstly compliment the organizers for thinking of this Darkathon It is a need of the hour. And I saw the problem statements that you have given, the 3 problem statements. I think they have been articulated very well. 3 phases in which this whole exercise over 2.5 months has been divided, I think has been planned very well. I am looking forward to the results of each of these phases as to how and what have we learned. From my side, I will just leave 2 or 3 calls of wisdom, you can say, or call them anything. First is illicit finance. If you recall a case that happened last year, it was a ransomware case. A company called JBS Foods in the USA. It is the largest meat processing factory in the US. That was hit by a ransomware attack. And the ransomware was, I think, about $4.5 million. The FBI told them, you pay the ransom. And then they said that we will try and trace the money back. And out of $4.5 million, the FBI could trace $2 million and got them back to the company. So even though we may not, be indexed in the dark web, there may be anonymity, there is a lack of attribution. But one area where we can concentrate on and think of is how to trace the cryptocurrency. It's a very important area. And it's getting actually more difficult because in the latest queries that we did, we found that in one of the different types of nodes that are there in the dark web, there are the bridge nodes and exchange nodes and nodes. There was a mixer node where one wallet was being mixed with another wallet. That is where it gets really difficult as to how to trace the cryptocurrency. So that's the first point I want to leave behind as to how can we trace the illicit finance part. The second is how do we establish the nexus? Because there are these, about 70, 80 odd markets that are there. Some of them are one-man vendors also, markets. But most of them are, a nexus between various people and various types of, there's somebody who's an expert in the ingress part, somebody is an expert in the cryptocurrency, somebody is an expert in the exchange, etc. And of course, the postal department is involved in this drug trade as to how it is delivered. So whether it is by postal or whether it is by the delivery boys. So it's a complete ecosystem that they have created. How can we break that? How can it disrupt that particular network? So the entire thing has to be understood. As far as the anonymity and the lack of attribution is concerned, this is an area not only in the dark web, it is there in the surface web also. Some of you come with me to the National Informatics Center in Shastri Park. They have a huge map in front, global map, showing from where supposedly the attacks are coming from. And 40% of the attacks appear to be coming from the US. But that is only showing the last IP address, because that is not where the attacks are coming from. He's only hired a virtual machine in some data center of US and he's coming from there. So behind that, he's there in Netherlands. From there, he goes somewhere else and finally he's somewhere else. So 4 to 5 hops is the average, the attack plan that is there. How do we attribute this? Can we have some bots sitting in various places? Because why he's coming from the US is because the US has very strict privacy laws. If today you ask Amazon Web or Azure or somebody to tell you who has hired this virtual machine, he will say, sorry, I will not tell you. So that is why they come from democracies, from people, countries with, these very strict privacy laws. And finally is the aspect of the international jurisdiction. See, we have tried the MLAT, Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty. We have seen letters, regulatory, etc. They are taking a very long time. By the time the money is gone. So these criminals have got together. It's now time for us to get together. That is why whenever I go to any international forum, I tell them this is an international team sport. We have been getting some success through the Interpol. Recently, some regional organizations have come together. Unfortunately, we are not members of the Budapest Convention as yet. There is some talk of going on and getting observer status at the moment. But this is an area where also we must understand as to why these people are getting away. And the whole effort should be that we have to get after them. We cannot let these criminals get away with what they are doing on the dark web. So I'm very convinced that there are more good men in the world today than the evil ones. The nation is on this track. As far as our national cyberspace is concerned, I can assure you it is safe, secure, resilient, vibrant, and trusted. And that is what we are there for. And I want to end on that positive note. Thank you for having me here. All the best. Jai Hind.
Thanks a lot, sir. The details provided by you were real eye-opener for not-so-cyber literate people like us. I now request Honorable Director General NCB for inaugural address for the event. DG, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Do I hear a good morning? Professor Shashabudde, Chairman, All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE, as we all know. Lieutenant General Rajesh Pant, retired. Dr. Rajesh Pant is the National Cyber Security Coordinator. And I must personally thank him because, as he said, he was otherwise engaged in a very important function that he's supposed to attend, but it's very kind of him to come, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you personally. Major Vineet from the Cyber Peace Foundation, who are also the collaborators in this event. I must thank him and his team for making this possible. My colleague Sanjay, who is handling operations from the headquarters of NCB, and my colleagues Monica, Sachin, Gyaneshwar, and Ashok Muthajayan, who has joined virtually from Mumbai. All the other officers and staff of NCB, students who are joined virtually, all the officers and staff across the country of NCB who have joined virtually, and all those who have, out of interest and out of the spirit of joining the, I would not call it a competition, but joining the Darkathon, just like you join a marathon, not only in the spirit of winning the marathon or earning something in the marathon, but also to take part in the marathon in the spirit of taking part in a cause that is of critical national importance. We are talking about drug trafficking. Recently, आप सभी ने देखा होगा, there was a busting of a racket of a network of darknet based syndicate, which was operating on the darknet, and the combination was based on a tripod, I would say, of darknet plus cryptocurrency as a mode of transaction, plus parcel and courier as a mode of delivery. So I called this the tripod of the modern day drug trafficking. So what happens? Anonymity remains. Only the last mile, at the last mile, the postal department or the courier agency delivers to the last mile receiver, who may not be the user actually, who may not be the actual receiver. So he may be a decoy, or he or she may be a decoy. The stockist who supplies may be a normal stockist who is totally unaware that he has been gamed and he has been used. And the person who has ordered probably from across the world on the darknet, and the person who has facilitated the transaction may still be high and dry, untouched by the law enforcement agencies. So this is need to know basis principle taken to a different level altogether. And even now, many of the law enforcement agencies, not only in India but across the world, are struggling with this as to how to get to the bottom of this whole racket. But I must compliment my team of officers led very ably. I would mention Monica and Ganeshwar especially. Let us give them a big hand. Very ably supported by Sanjay from the operations division and Mutab as DDG SWR. They did a splendid job with their teams. It was very painstaking. It took 4 months, but they managed to apprehend the lead players or the near lead players, and it so happened that it led to the shutting down of some markets which were vibrant. But as General Pant mentioned, it is really the tip of the iceberg. And even in the darknet space, it is the tip of the iceberg, because if statistics are to be believed, then almost 60 to 75% of the transactions on the darknet are drug related. And among the contraband which is transacted, sometimes legal items are also transacted, though secretly. But among the contraband that is transacted, it is almost 90% value. In value, it is almost 90% of the contraband. Why? Because it is the mother of all contraband. Because it feeds, money-wise, it feeds terrorism, it feeds human trafficking, it feeds gun running or arms trafficking, and what have you. So it is the mother of all financing. That is why the combination of darknet and drugs is extremely dangerous, and it will impinge national security whether we like it or not. It is already doing that. And I'm afraid, I must underline this, General Pant is looking at is a very critical part of the cyber security infrastructure in this country, architecture of this country. We talk about demographic dividend of this country being a young population, which is also digitally driven. One of the most digitally driven youth population in the world. But this demographic dividend, I never tire of saying, can possibly also go in the wrong direction, driven by drugs. Driven by drugs. And then we will not be proud of the demographic dividend. We may actually regret that this demographic dividend has become a liability than an asset. I'm of course talking of an extreme scenario. But when you prepare for a worst case scenario, then you are considered prepared. So that is why we thought it is in the best interest of this country that what should NCB do in the form of a hackathon, which was mandated none other than by the Prime Minister in May 2020 when he took the first comprehensive review of the NCB at that time. And as is his want, as is his vision, he very quickly saw that problem of darknet is going to be a problem that we have to grapple with for a very long time and very intensely, sooner rather than later. So following his mandate, we have set up this Darkathon, and we will continue to do this in the subsequent time. I'm personally thankful to Major Vineet for getting this organized with his acumen. It is actually a very interesting parallel because Major Vineet, when I got in touch with him way back in around 2010 or so, was a young man, part of the demographic dividend, I'm sure. And this demographic dividend, he was unsure as to which direction to go, although he was an ethical hacker at that time. But I'm just saying that there are so many youth out there who can leverage IT for good and bad. Because of the mentorship and the good intentions with which he worked. He's now a major, and he's really a demographic dividend asset for the country, heading the Cyber Peace Foundation, which is doing real good service across the country. So what I'm trying to say is, as Pant was saying and Professor Shashubudhe was saying, it is not only about the crime. It is about a social movement, as the Prime Minister is always at pains to say, Jan Andolan hona chahiye. इस जन आंदोलन की जरूरत है जिसमें it is not only for the NCB to play the role of the anchor. It has to be all the other agencies together, and as a team, all the stakeholder agencies, including non-law enforcement agencies like the Ministry of Social Justice, like the Ministry of Education, higher school education both, who have to pitch in. Ministry of Health, who have to pitch in for harm reduction. It has to be, as I think General Pant mentioned very interestingly, team sport. It's a team sport. The fighting the menace of drugs is a team sport. As long as the team doesn't stand as one, you will always miss a trick. Whether it is the academic world headed by very, very committed persons like Professor Shashubudhe, whether it is the cyber security world headed by very talented and committed persons like General Pant, whether it is the private space where people like Vineet is heading a foundation dedicated to the cause of cyber peace. Obviously, there is a case for cyber peace because there is war in the minds of people in terms of the cyber world. So it is just in the fitness of things that we have given 3 problem statements, which are about the darknet, and we have announced very good amounts as prize money, 2.5 lakhs for the first prize, 2 lakhs for the second, 1.5 for the third, and 2 consolation prizes of 25,000 each. If we find that there are really talented inputs and very, very innovative inputs, we can always up the prize money in numbers and value both. And I take this opportunity to announce that if there are really good entries worth sustaining, worth getting along and sustaining in the future, we would not hesitate to hire some of those entries and those entry givers as consultants to the NCB. So all those who are listening in, it's a proud moment for NCB. It should be a proud moment for you because you are, as I said, since it is a team sport, you are becoming part of not the NCB team, but the team India in fighting the menace of drugs. NCB is part of that team India, a small part, maybe an instrumental part, but still a small part. It has to become a Jan Andolan, and it has to become a Jan Andolan in the digital space. The physical space is, of course, very, very critical and important. But in the digital space, in a digital world, in a India 2.0, can we have a Jan Andolan 2.0? That is the purpose and the motivation of this Darkathon. And I wish all the participants very Godspeed and very well, so that they really come up with the brilliant solutions which they are capable of. I would personally request Professor Shashubudhe to encourage all the institutions that are under his under him, under AICT, to maybe convey some kind of a encouraging message that they participate in good numbers. I'd request Dr. Pant also to do his bit because his words matter a lot. And of course, Major Vineet will pitch in his usual way. But all those present here, I would request them to go back, and if you can find students, you must be knowing students who are good at IT and app building or problem statement solutions, they can be encouraged to do that and join in greater numbers. So once again, I thank the organizers, DDG Ops, who has taken the pains along with his team, Piyush and everybody who have done a brilliant job for this inaugural function. And I hope the 3 phases of the competition will bear fruit and we have really great solutions to the problem statement at the end of this process. Once again, I would like to place on record that NCB will keep striving to its best ability to fight as a team, as a part of a team, India, and as a part of the phalanx of agencies which are fighting drug menace, and will try to make a difference in the times to come. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. Your vision will definitely take India ahead in its fight against drugs. For today's event, our organizing partner is Cyber Peace Foundation, as DG sir has mentioned. Therefore, now I invite Major Vineet Kumar, founder, Global President, CPF, for his address about the details of the event. Shri Vineet sir.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here at the launch event and dignitaries on the dais. I'd like to mention the chief guest, Shri S.N. Pradhan, IPS and DG NCB, Lieutenant General Rajesh Pant, Honorable NCSE, Government of India, Shri Anil Sastrabuddheji, Honorable Chairperson of the AICT, Shri Sanjay Singh ji, Honorable DDG of the NCB, dignitaries of the dais, officials from the NCB, from the MHA, Cyber Peace Foundation, friends from media, and all those who are connected virtually with us. Again, it's a very excited moment, and also I'm very delighted to be here for the launch event because we have been thinking, planning about this event, and something that under the direction of S.N. Pradhan sir and Sanjay sir, we had kind of been planning to launch this, and finally the day has come, the D-Day has come. Let me just give you a quick stats on the number of internet users that are there in India. In fact, currently I'm just reading the IMAI, Internet and Mobile Association of India report, and it says that we are the second largest internet users. In fact, we have the second largest population of internet users, monthly active internet users. And by 2025, we are going to reach around 900 million active users. If we talk about tech, we are going to be surrounded by tech all over. We are going to live in the era where we have metaverse. We are talking about metaverse. We are talking about NFT. We are talking about AR, VR, and a lot of new things. Online gaming is also coming up in a big way. And let me also tell you, dark web, darknet is one, and other than darknet, there are different platforms which are being misused by the cyber criminals today. Let me also share that we should not take cyberspace as something negative. Generally, we believe as foundation, why cyber peace, why we are here, is because we want to make the cyberspace peaceful. With good things, you have the bad stuff also. And we are here to kind of work with institutions like NCB, institutions like Ministry of Home Affairs, to kind of solve the pressing problem that the cyberspace has today. The Darkathon is an attempt to bring the tech community together to solve the pressing problem that the cyberspace has. So it's going to have people, again, experts from different backgrounds, again, who are in tech, from industry, academia, working all together. Tech has no barriers, tech has no boundaries, cyberspace has no boundaries. So we are also going to work without boundaries together to solve the problem that the cyberspace today has in the form of a darknet. So with this, in fact, my colleague Abhishek has a full-fledged presentation on how things are going to be, the entire flow of the event, the entire flow of the hackathon. So I'll invite him next to kind of share a brief about the entire hackathon. And I must congratulate again the team at NCB and also at Cyber Peace Foundation. Plus, best of luck to all the participants. I'm going to be personally involved into the event, and I'm looking forward to have some good solution. At Cyber Peace Foundation, again, we have been organizing these kinds of hackathons. Again, we recently concluded the global cybersecurity hackathon called the Cyber Peace Challenge. And we were fortunate to have 113 countries who participated in it. The kind of solution that came in all the three tracks, the judges had a tough time to kind of evaluate. So every entry, in fact, the kind of entries and the solution that came, it blew our minds that this could also be a probable solution. So I'm expecting that response to this hackathon also would be like that. And with that, I'd like to end. Thank you so much for your patient hearing, and thank you, NCB, for trusting in us. We'll try our best to deliver the best. And again, I'd like to thank General Pant and the chairperson, AICT, Shri Anil Sahasrabuddhe, for kind of supporting us in and out and all the activities and the event. So we'll try to make this happen in a big way. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you for that brief and interesting outlook towards the cyber security and the cyber hygiene situation in our country. In the rise of the extensive use of technology, it has also brought in with increase of cyber crimes. These crimes and attacks permeate almost all facets and situations in the current society and are rapidly growing with velocity, volume, as well as sophistication. All the crimes and the potential crimes can also be facilitated in today's time with the use of internet or technology or gadgets which are driven by technology and the internet, called the IoT devices. The most concerning facet of this change is the illicit trafficking in drugs and drugs-related money and the money laundering of the same through misuse of information and communication systems, including darknet, anonymous and encrypted connections, messengers, and electronic and virtual payments like the blockchain system. According to 2021 World Drug Report, about 74% of the darknet transactions worldwide or 90% of the darknet sales were related to drugs. The number of drug seizures from parcel or courier consignments has increased by 250% in the country during the COVID pandemic era. And it is a very heightening number to notice. And it is a clear example of how the digital platform and the ill effects of digital platform are spreading its roots in the illicit ways of the society. The drug enforcement agencies need to be ahead of the curve to counter and negate the challenges of the technology advances that the drug traffickers take advantage of. The help and aid of public can go a very long way in helping agencies like National Narcotics Control Bureau in technically equipping them to tackle the menace of drug traffic. National Narcotics Control Bureau has decided to organize the hackathon that can tap into the high quality technical pool of the country and to find effective solutions and to find the anonymity of the darknet markets. The Darkathon 2022 is first of its kind in hackathon organized by the Narcotics Control Bureau in collaboration with the Cyber Peace Foundation that is envisioned to bridge the gap in curbing the menace of drug abuse in the dark web. The competition aims at garnering innovative solutions from all over the country. Now, I would like to draw your attention towards the basis of the competition. The problem statements in the competition are threefold, like DG sir mentioned. Firstly, crawling of dark web to identify and catalog the genuine darknet market selling and new markets. Secondly, crawling of darknet markets to identify drug traffickers on darknet based in India and drugs they offer to sell. And lastly, the digital footprinting of active drug traffickers in the country. The competition will be carried out in 3 phases. In phase 1, we are involving and inviting registrations from various teams. Now, the team members can register themselves as a single individual or in a team of 3 individuals. And they're required to send their concept note along with a presentation providing providing for the solution for the selected problem statement. The second stage is the shortlisting of the candidates from the expert committee. The top 30 candidates will be shortlisted and forwarded to the last round. The last round, being the grand finale, will be a presentation round in which the top 30 shortlisted finalists will be presenting the solution to their problem statements, which will further end with the question and answer round with the jury. Now, the timeline for the same event. The timeline on 15th of Feb, we launched the registration as well as the event. 31st March, we closed the registrations of the event. 14th to 16th April, the evaluating committee will shortlist the top 38 candidates. And on 22nd April, we have the grand finale with the top 30 shortlisted candidates. Now, as mentioned by Sir earlier, the attractive prize money for the Darkathon has been also put across. For the first prize, a prize money of 2.5 lakhs rupees will be given. For the second prize, 2 lakh rupees will be given. For the third prize, 1.5 lakh rupees will be given, and 2 consolation prizes of 25,000 each will be given. I'm sure this initiative of Darkathon will prove as a strong pillar in times to come for the India to tackle the menace of drugs and take the war on drugs more effectively. Thank you. Stay secure, stay safe. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Your address helped us understanding the event even better. I now request Honorable Director General NCB to present mementos to Shri Sahasrabudhe sir and General Pant sir, and to Vineet sir from CPF. Thank you so much, sir. Moving ahead, I request respected DDG sir to address the vote of thanks for the event. Respected DDG sir.
Honorable Director General NCB, Shri S.N. Pradhan, Professor L. Sahasrabudhe, Chairman AICTE, Lieutenant General Retired Rajesh Pant, National Cyber Security Coordinator, friends from the media, dear colleagues, and all the invitees. I, on behalf of NCB, thank all the honorable guests for blessing us with their kind presence, taking their valuable time from their busy schedule. I express my deep sense of gratitude to DG NCB Sri S.N. Pradhan for his kind presence and for inaugurating Hackathon 2020. His words of encouragement and constant guidance helped us to organize this event and guide us in busting networks involved in drug trafficking on Darkathon, on Darknet, sorry. The entire team NCB shares your concerns, sir, about misuse of Darknet, and we assure you that will come down very hard on the drug traffickers that are misusing Darknet for their illegal purpose. I also wish to express my gratitude to Sri Anil Shastrabuddhi, Chairman AICTE, for providing his words of wisdom. And those words have come out his wide experience in dealing with modern technology. He beautifully explained various aspects of Darknet and Darkathon. We are really grateful for your time and effort, sir. I would like to extend a special thanks to Lieutenant General Retired Dr. Rajesh Pant, National Cyber Security Coordinator, for sharing valuable insights into the world of cyber security. Sir explained technical aspects of cyber security in a way a common man would understand. This would encourage all of us to learn about cyber security and use the knowledge of cyber security to deal effectively with criminals who are misusing cyberspace. I profusely thank all the friends from media who have always stood by us in dealing with drug traffickers, and I wish and I hope that they would do so in future as well. It is for the first time that NCB is organizing a hackathon to target the anonymous users and vendors in the world of drug trafficking. Drug trafficking through darknet is thriving in the current scenario of technological advances and COVID-19 pandemic. I am very confident that this hackathon will bring about outcomes that will help NCB and other drug law enforcement agencies in dealing very effectively with drug traffickers who are misusing cyberspace for their nefarious designs. I wholeheartedly express our appreciation for such positive response on the part of all attendees for their active participation. I conclude with due acknowledgement of guidance of DG NCB and for the efforts of NCB officials and Cyber Peace team who made this event a success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I again sincerely thank everyone on behalf of NCB for taking out your precious time to grace this event and making the inaugural event of Darkathon 2022 a success. I would now request all our esteemed guests on podium, my seniors, colleagues, and my dear friends from media to join us for high tea. Thank you.